Hello, Svelte Summit. My name is Bert Bengtson. I'm a lead developer at Ashley Furniture. If you are watching this video, then let me say, congratulations! You are thinking about or currently in the process of migrating a massive application to Svelte and Sveltekit. Soon, you will be using one of the most loved frameworks on GitHub as your JavaScript framework of choice. Let me tell you, though, that my team's success with Svelte didn't happen immediately, because the NPM package takes 7 seconds to download. Yes, my team's journey as Svelte hasn't been an easy one, but it's been well worth it. Let me share with you our journey and some of the tricks we learned along the way, and maybe some of the bugs. A lot of the bugs. From humble beginnings. Now, you may think to yourself that because we went with Svelte that we would see success immediately in this project. And you'd be right. Thanks to Svelte's awesome dev tooling with things like Vite, Svelte preprocess, and Svelte adder, and also its superb tutorial, we were able to get a prototype running quickly, which got us a ton of support from the business and allowed us to continue. Yes, we were finally moving away from that old jQuery, and I'm designing much better, more performant, and easy to work with. And with a few taps on the keyboard, we had a whole new project underway. Our codebase today. To keep up with today's demands on modern web applications, you need to make sure that no expense is spared on using the latest technology. This right here is our TypeScript of JS docs. It makes maintaining your code like 1,000 times easier for free. And, these are Tailwind styles. You can add it really easily as Svelte adder, as you can see here. And it just makes maintaining styles across a huge code base like super easy. Oh, and these are the playwright tests. These come standard with Svelte and they're awesome. And lastly, can't go wrong with Storybook. It makes reusing components 1,000 times easier. Now, I know all this modernization would seem like it'd be confusing, but one of the great things about Svelte is that it makes integrating with these new technologies extremely easy. I think it's one of the best things about Svelte. So for this next section, I'm going to slow things down and teach you how to teach other people Svelte. Training. Now, you may be wondering why during this talk I am emphasizing Svelte's ease of use. Well, the reason that is because when you're doing these massive migrations, you need buy-in from the developers as well as the business. And developers tend to pick things they find easy or something they're familiar with. If you go Svelte for your migration, it's inevitable that you will have to teach a lot of devs Svelte. And here are some of my tips as someone who's done that a lot of time. First thing I would do in training new people is make everyone complete the whole Svelte tutorial. A lot of people try to speedrun it, but there's important stuff at the end like animations and actions that you don't want to miss. Now, the tutorial is probably the best there is out there for JS frameworks, but it doesn't magically make you an amazing coder overnight. With my project, we got a lot of code up and running quickly, but we were not in the phase of scaling out, and it all looked like this. Yeah, that's not good. Now, when you're coding for small projects, it's okay to be a little loosey-goosey with the rules. But when you're coding an enterprise application, thousands of people could potentially touch your code. And to keep it maintainable, you need some coding standard. Here are some of my suggestions that my team found the most success with. Number one is just standardize where things in Svelte go. Svelte is pretty open about where you put your variables, but maintaining things is going to be a nightmare if you have to go on a scavenger hunt every time you're in someone else's component. My team decided on imports, consts, props, let, functions, and reactive statements, with a special case for the create event dispatcher always being right after the imports. But your answer may be different. Now, I know this applies to all JS frameworks, but get all your developers on the same page on the naming conventions of your props. It'll make your code way more reusable and save your sanity. Two of my pet peeves are when people rename a prop that is ubiquitous in standard browser components, like this link URL prop here, or when someone adds the name of the component to a prop for no reason. We're in the product component. We know it's product text. This isn't all of them, and we're still refining them as we go. These patterns have handed upping their velocity and felt immensely. One quick note, it's a personal philosophy of mine, is that people aren't following patterns that might be too complicated or might not just be good. Patterns should be obvious and easy to follow. Lastly, I'd like to do a rundown on Sveltekit. It's an insanely awesome web framework that abstracts a lot of insanely hard concepts such as SSR and client-side routing. One thing I'd warn though, that it's still in beta, but it's not like anyone's hiding this fact. Our main problem with Sveltekit is that abstracting these hard concepts can be a blessing and a curse. If you have no one on your team who is aware of how modern web practices work, you could run into some problems. I knew we had a problem when one of the devs coded a Sveltekit endpoint and told me he wasn't full stack. Make sure people brush up on these concepts and share the knowledge. My team organized weekly powwows to share some of the knowledge love, and it helped us out immensely, and we all became experts in modern web practices quickly. Thank you for having me, Svelte Summit, to do a quick overview of my project and some of my lessons learned. Hopefully one of you guys can take something away when you're migrating one of your projects. I'm really excited to see where Svelte and Sveltekit have to go. But now for us is the biggest part of one of these projects.